Hi, my name's Chris and I'm from the number one support workers advice line. Thanks for joining me. I am here today to talk about where people come from, specifically where your fellow workers are coming from, where staff come from. Because it's a high emotional workplace, there's always a lot going on, not only for the clients but for workers. We may find, I don't like to use words like triggered or set off or things like that. It's not really my thing, but just to be aware that there's a lot going on when you're there from 9 to 5 or whatever your shift hours are. You've got to be prepared to expect that there'll be a lot running through your head. We are who we are with for those working hours during the day, and I'm specifically here to talk about other staff. So when we're getting to know other staff, we need to look at some of the common themes that they talk about. Some of the, maybe family, maybe past. Some people overshare and talk about, in the pursuit of checking to see whether I'm okay and you're okay. They might be picking bits out of the conversation which acknowledge that maybe you've had you left your last job burnt out, or you had a relationship breakdown recently, or you're a single parent, or all these sorts of different scenarios that we all live with. When we're checking to see you're okay, I'm okay, and especially in a setting of high emotion, we might think that we're all in this together. We're trying to form friendships. We're trying to form bonds, common bonds. Trying to check that that other person's safe. I'm safe. So it can, coupled with the emotional content presented by the workplace itself, the responsibilities that are on your shoulders, the tasks that need to be assessed and reviewed, and the low capacity of the clientele we work with, or the incapacity to regulate emotions, these sort of things, we may find that we're sort of oversharing. So looking for the common themes that they talk about, and looking for how they divulge, how they talk about information, how they disclose information to tell you about their private life and the daily struggles that they might have, how that sort of spills over into your conversations on a daily basis. They might talk about on a daily work basis. They might talk about their families. They may, oversharing. I think we've all been there. My advice is for you to watch what you share, because not everyone's your friend. People may think that they've got you pegged. They may think that they've got a read on you. They may look for weakness. They may look for holes. If you're an emotional person, they may try to ramp that up in you. They may try to make you feel like you're less safe, you're less secure. They may try to work on your other teammates and think that they're closer to them, and then gossip about you. And look, there's many different scenarios, but the main advice is watch what you share. If you've got personal strife, you've got struggles, or you're dealing with your own issues of sometimes we're not the happiest for a time, or we might be worried about things for a time. Be careful to just watch who you share that with. These are particularly dangerous. Oversharing is particularly dangerous if you're in what could be seen as a stressful workplace. Your manager is stressed, you don't have good systems in place. It can sort of escalate tensions and escalate worry. The word is anxiety, but I try not to use anxiety, because using the word anxiety in my mind increases anxiety. If you're the manager on a work site, so you're there in amongst it every day, be careful about your professional. Be conscious. Be aware that you need to protect yourself. What you might find because you might be rocking up to work to fill in gaps in workplaces, so you might be overworked. And as you're overworked, you're trying to let people know that you're okay and that you're a trustworthy individual, but you just got to be aware that that may come back and bite you later on. Somebody might use that against you, might use your disclosed, your divulged vulnerabilities against you later. Generally, managers are stressed out, burnt out, overworked, under-supported. They're just nightmare scenario given here, and they might come to work and they're building teams and trying to make sure that everybody's all right in the workplace. But and in the process of that, they'd be, oh, you can come to me with anything. I've got that. I've had that. I've had that same. I've had this. I've had that. So you're walking that fine line between sort of friendly. You're walking that fine line between I'm okay, you're okay. You're looking for that fine line between I've got things to share with you. I've got emotional content. I've got strategies. I've got ways to, we can get through this together. Or, we will as a team get through this. Sometimes you will let your guard down. And then you're going to get it later. I guarantee there's that person, that toxic person in your team who will come and get you later. And they'll do you for bullying. They'll do you for they'll try to peg you down, and the inherent chaos, the chaotic narrative that might come up with working with people with a disability, the strategies you're trying to put in place across the team, they'll question that, and then they'll go to your manager, and then you'll get annihilated if you've got if there's an agenda to put you in your place by your manager. That person who comes up from below will come up, go around you, and they will talk to that manager, and they'll give depth to the reasons why you need to go or you need to be performance managed, etc., etc., etc. And then there's a circle of you're just in a whirlwind of crap, really. Do not overshare in the workplace. Hold it close to your chest. If you feel the need where it's getting a bit out of hand, go to an outside professional service. You might have an employee assistance program, which most people do. You have 4 free sessions through your employer to download. Doesn't necessarily have to be work, but it's when you're in these settings of high stress. You're on the ground all the time. You're trying to convince people that you're a leader. You're trying to convince people that you've got strategies to help. There are people already in your midst who, if you overshare with, they'll use it against you later. I'm not saying be a psychopath about it. Don't be rigid, and don't be sort of concrete. And I've met plenty of people like that, and wonder why they're in the business anyway. But you need to be really careful about how you manage your energy and your disclosure, because they'll peg you. They'll get a read on you, and they will use it for their own purposes later, which might be to so what could happen is you could start so you've been oversharing for a year with somebody or two, or not oversharing, but you've been they've got you pegged. You're high on the emotional level, you're stressed, you're nearly burnt out, whatever it is, right? So they've got you pegged. Pegged, I mean, like they've worked you out, and they're looking for you're trying to divulge positives. You're trying to disclose the positives about yourself, but all the while, we're human beings. We've got dark and light at various times, various seasons. So there's they're just taking note of the negative, right? Then there will come a time when you have to pull that person up. There will come a time when you're reporting. You need to put that person in a performance management setting. You need to make a complaint against that person. You need to escalate, and because they've done something wrong. They've done something unethical. They've done something, they're rude. They're disrespectful. They're bludging or lazy or sorry, I'm getting a bit worked up here. But there will come a time when you have to pull that person up as their manager. What they then do is they have already formulated a case against you to go to the same manager. They've already, you're escalating, you're going up the chain, they're going to come round, usurp you, and go to your manager as well. They've already formulated a case. They're going to put you in the stressed out bin. They're going to put you in the high emotional bin. They'll try to do you for bullying. They'll try anything to protect their patch. And it might not even be about just their job security. It might be that it's a personal affront to them. You might have touched on that they're they're in for a free ride. They're a bit unwell themselves. They're a bit, it's sort of like the attitudes are colliding. So be very careful with how you manage yourself within a workplace. Make sure that you keep a record of things you notice as it starts, as the layers start peeling off. Over time, this in your own lives, over time, eventually people reveal themselves. What I might do, what I do is what I'll do is I'll make a list. I'll have a working list at home, and I'll just keep it on a drive or whatever, and I'll date it and just keep a red flag list about particular individuals that start rearing their head. Then, when you get a little bit of information there, maybe you can start advocating for yourself. Maybe, if you feel safe enough, you can start advocating for yourself with that content in an email to your manager or whoever supervises you, or, you know, talk about it in team meetings, with your peers at your level, but make sure you got a tangible list happening there. So that's one way to do it. The best way to do it is reporting up with a developmental focus. I just want to let you know that this happened and might be occurring. I think this person needs a little bit more oversight or needs a little bit more looking into. Just want us to remain aware that these things might be happening for the person and how it's spilling over into their work life. You got to own what you've been sort of contributing as well. If you've been oversharing, you should have enough wisdom in your supervisor to sort of say, oh, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't do that, Chris. Okay. So report up in a respectful manner on behalf of your charges, on behalf of the staff that's under you, with a view to development. You don't want to get to the stage where it's becoming all snakes and scorpions and snakes, and it's just all dark and there's that feeling in there that sort of, alarm bells have been ringing for a while. You don't really want to get to that stage. You need to maintain, and thank you, ex-bosses, but you need to maintain that professional acumen, that professional skill of always reporting up with the view of development. So you're not, it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be sort of, oh, and they're like that and prescriptive. It doesn't have to be like, oh, and then they did this and then they did that. We shouldn't really get to that stage. The idea is to be able to escalate with the view to, within employment law, if they're under you, it's within employment law, within HR principles, within, which do hark to a good value system with a view to, and some of you aren't going to like this, but in the way, as a good, compassionate, evolved being would sort of look after the welfare and mental health and the well-being of a person who is really suffering. People come from a different background. They come from they come from poverty. They come from intellectual poverty, their emotional poverty. Some have had abuse in their lives. Some of them have found themselves in the work as the wounded healer. Some people have found themselves, just developing within a paid environment. People come from all different backgrounds. Also, they're having experience of having, some people are from cold background, culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, so they're having a different experience on a societal level, and you want to be empathetic to that. You want to be accommodating for that. Self-awareness is key to your safety and well-being. You come from a different background too. When you're getting to know people, of course, you're sharing values and you're sharing, little isms of yourself, and you're sort of, oh, I'm okay, you're okay, right? But being aware that you come from a different background doesn't necessarily mean you're of a higher class or a higher social status or socio-economic equilibrium. We just need to show that we're okay. Sorry, I got distracted. Trauma bonding. Some people get into the work due to having come from traumatic backgrounds. They come in to help the meek. They come in to help the vulnerable. They have the idea that giving to others will give to themselves. They might be having a really hard time in life. They might be having all sorts of things happening to them in a personal world. They might have come from a traumatic. They might have had a psychotic break. They might have had a lot of stuff happens for people. Trauma bonding. Go and look it up. I'm not going to go into it here, but trauma bonding is where we find common ground and we're not well. Looking for allies. We're looking for allies in the workplace. If we're looking for allies, we're also looking for tangible, real enemies. If you've got that attitude where you're looking for an ally, you're looking for, you can look for friends, of course. Takes time to develop that. But if you're looking for an ally on the playing field of work, then invariably you're looking for enemies. So, and that can chop and change. Once you know somebody is not accommodating you, once you know somebody is not one of your people as such, then there's trouble afoot. Trouble will happen. There'll be undermining, there'll be white-anting, there'll be gossip, there'll be all sorts of crap going on. So how a staff member might look for other allies and work on other staff is that they might go, oh, what do you think? What do you think about how stressed out is the boss today? How stressed out is that person? Or just working their way along. Some people are very kind-hearted and very soft and are quite vulnerable to the people who look for allies within the workplace. Those people must be protected at all costs. But these are all things to look out for. People may be high functioning. They may be having like a hard time. They might be the schedule might be out. The timing might be out. They might be getting used to a new work regime. The hours of the day. They might be self-medicating on prescribed medication. They might be drinking at home. They might be doing other drugs when they're not on duty. These are all things, very, very impactful things that we need to keep an eye on. They might be smoking. They're charged up on nicotine. They might be having 4 or 5 cups a day. So they've got more energy to look for allies and work on other stuff. Keep it respectful. So as I stated, keep just a bit earlier, if you're uplining, keep it through a developmental lens. You're developing people, you're developing clients, you're case managing, you're case managing clients, you're advocating for clients. Try to put the same professional lens, and as I get older, thank you bosses, I might be able to do that a bit more thoroughly now. Keep a positive view of the workforce, of the staff that I have had working for me. Keep it respectful in your notations and how you escalate it to your supervisor. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the bigger person, whatever that means in a work setting, but doesn't necessarily have to mean tempering your reports or the way you see things. but it may come down to your skills of this is going on, and it might be this or it could be that, and make sure one of those could be that's is positive in the way that you're describing it. That's a bit out there, that one, but anyway, it's very rare that you will make a friend in some settings. I'm lucky enough to have, after I've exited a workplace, I'm lucky enough to have people who really did value me in that setting, and value me. But I'm lucky enough to have people who liked my style and appreciated what I did for them. And they're people who I knew would always are of high value, of a good ethical standard, and have always shown me genuine and authentic regard. So I can say you do have friends, but if you're in a position of authority, don't go looking for friends. Don't go looking for allies. Don't go looking for enemies. Just keep it level playing field. Keep it professional. You're only there for 8 hours a day. They're not coming at you. The knives are going to try to be in your back from a less evolved being, but it's really nothing to worry about on a day-to-day basis. Has a bit to do with trauma bonding, the knives in the back, the expectation that might be coming your way. That might be about your stuff. It might be that you're not you've still got some unaddressed stuff in your life that you need to go and get sorted out. But I mean, I'm not here to prescribe paranoia and talk about paranoia and growing up in circumstances where knives were in fact in your back, and then you're bringing those to your adult life, and trauma bonding is something that you should really go and explore. So yeah, really making a friend in some settings, but really assess the person. Would they be your friend outside of work? And probably not. Probably not. So why are we, we've got to be friendly and not a psychopath, but why are we, overdoing it on the friendly talk? What did you do on the weekend? Really, no, I don't, no, I'm here to work. If you overshare in the early stages of getting to know, I'm okay, you're okay, all that stuff, let your boss know in your next supervisory session. Hopefully, your boss has the wisdom to realise, oh, well, okay, this is going on for you as well. So, yeah, maybe there's a bit of, yes, Chris, you're oversharing. Please don't do that again, but thanks for letting me know. And if they're professional enough, they'll have that in their little notebook, at that meeting, on the date, and you'll sort of alert them to possibilities that are coming down the line in those professional relationships. Be brave, be courageous. If you overshare, let your boss know. It's not a personality deficit. It's not a negative aspect to your personality to overshare. Letting your guard down. They're not going to judge it. Well, they might, but at least let your boss know. Preferably by email. My experience is you can't really rely on the supervisory notes. So email with some sort of searchable heading. When you go into your emails, you can search blah blah, the name, supervisory issue or something, so you can go back and pull it up yourself. So thanks very much for having me here. It's about professional boundaries. I've learnt um, in many joyous and wonderful forms, and I've had ways. I've had some really great guidance. At the time, it was all going down. Also, on reflection, um, it doesn't really. Yeah, if it's all going to go pear shaped, you'll probably get a better job somewhere else anyway. That's if the knives do come and get you. Alright, so thanks a lot. It's good to talk. So that was where people are coming from. And let me tell you, some people just aren't coming from a good place.